Shalom family, how are you guys doing today? It is 10 o'clock. I am so late with doing this series, but we were ripping and running, just trying to make sure we have everything we need before the Shabbat this Saturday. And we are at day 6 today. We're putting off pride, family. So let's just get straight into it and we can talk as we go along. We have Proverbs 16, chapter 18 today. 16 verse 18 rather. And it says, family, pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Pride goes before destruction. So when you operate under a spirit of pride, you are going down the path of destruction. That is the precursor, right? Pride is the precursor to destruction. Pride happens before the fall, okay? But what's this word haughty? Haughty spirit. So let's look up the definition of haughty, okay, family? We're going to just do line upon line, precept upon precept. And it says haughty here. It says haughty describes a person who is over proud and disdainful and arrogant. Okay, family? That is what haughtiness is. So in other words, it's a synonym for having pride, right? Arrogant, superior, someone that has these things, conceited, snobbish, stuck up. That is what the pride Yahuwah refers to when he says or reminds us of this. And when you operate like this, he considers this an abomination, family. It is an abomination to him. Right? It's a sin, but it's an abomination. It's like he does not like these things. It really displeases him in so many ways. Let's check out Proverbs 11, verse 2. All right, family, because we're going to have to piece this together like a puzzle. In Proverbs 11, verse 2, it says, when pride comes, then comes disgrace. But with humble is wisdom. So another compare contrast. We have to make sure we see from both sides so that we know what to do and what not to do, what to put on, what not to put on. Okay. So when he says pride comes, then comes disgrace. That reminds me of when he said pride comes before the fall or before destruction. Right. So let's look up this word disgrace. Okay. And most of us, we use this because we speak English. And we know what these words mean. We know how to use it in a sentence, but it's better when sometimes we revisit these definitions to just deepen the learning that we can obtain from these scriptures. Okay, family, disgrace, right? So let's do disgrace first, and then we'll look up grace, which is the antonym for that. And disgrace means a loss of reputation. Disgrace is a loss of respect as a result of a dishonorable action. So when it comes to Yahuwah, as we said, and this is abomination, when you operate under pride, that is a dishonorable action, a dishonorable spirit that you're operating under. And so you are going to lose respect and you are going to lose and damage your reputation. So when someone is being haughty, although they might feel self-righteous in that type of way of being haughty and arrogant, it is actually a disgrace when it comes to Yahuwah, because if you are supposed to be his servant or the light to those around you and you're being this way, it's a disgrace. It's something he is not proud of saying is mine when we do that. So he calls it an abomination. It's abominable. It's something that it should be and forbidden to do, but we don't heed to these words, family. And so let's look up what grace is, okay? That was disgrace. What is the definition of grace? Grace is refinement of movement. What do we mean by that? When we say refinement, it is the process of removing impurities. It is the process of removing unwanted elements from something else. So when we operate under grace, we are operating under a spirit that had been refined, a spirit that is graceful, elegant, a spirit that is without flaws, without the abominable things, a spirit that is under Yahuwah's pleasing ways, a spirit that is under the Ruach HaKodesh. That's why we need to be this way. And so when we know that and we say, what do people say? Oh, Yahuwah, he refines us. He removes the impurities from us so that we are graceful. He gives us grace that we may walk in grace. He gives us mercy that we may be merciful towards others. But a person that is operating under a spirit of pride are probably not people that will be merciful with their brethren. They are not going to be people that are going to be graceful with their brethren because they are into themselves. And that is why it is self-destructive. Although it may feel good in the moment of you doing it because you're fulfilling the lust of your flesh, in the long term, you are going on the path of destruction and not going on the path in which Yahuwah wanted you to go on. So this is why we have to absolutely put this off. This is one of the main characteristics that Hashatan possessed, family. He was very prideful. And so we don't need to be like him. We need to have people look at us and know who we belong to. And that's probably why a lot of us are going through spiritual attacks. Because what happens is when people know who you belong to, they're going to attack you. Even if they don't realize why. It's this unclean spirits know who you are. They know who you are and they can't take the light, family. So stay graceful and put off pride, put off haughtiness, put off disgrace, okay? And so now let's look at, see, and this is all coming out of the book of Proverbs. I'm not surprised at all because Proverbs is that book filled with wisdom, the spirit or the Ruach Chakma, okay? That wisdom. And so I'll find myself often in Proverbs because Proverbs is this truth, all right? So let's do Proverbs 29:23. And it says, a man's pride will bring him low, but a humble spirit will obtain honor. When someone is honored, they are esteemed. It's a high position, right? It is being exalted, honored, right? And so they are on this high pedestal, like Abba. Abba is high. But when you have pride, although you think you're high up and stuff, that's the delusion. That is the narcissistic delusion, because what ends up happening is you're bringing yourself low. But Yahuwah calls us to ascend and to elevate. He calls us to grow. But when you are putting these things on, in reality, you are dropping down. You're lowering yourself. And not, when I say lowering yourself, this is not in humility. This is in disgrace. Okay? When you are stooped down to that level, he says a humble spirit will obtain honor. But when we are humble, we are putting ourselves low to our brethren. We are self-denying, right? We are denying ourselves. We're crucifying that flesh. We are putting these things off. And so we're lighter, but we're low in humility, in selflessness. But when we are putting on pride and arrogancy and all these other things, although we feel esteemed and mighty and we got our neck outstretched, right? Like our ancestors, what ends up happening is we are made low when we do that, because Yahuwah will humble you quickly. And this is why we have to always operate as humble brethren and servants, okay? Now let's look at Proverbs 16:5-6. All right, family, we're doing great. And so we took care of that haughty definition. I definitely wanted to touch upon that today. And now Proverbs 16:5-6 says this, family. Hold on, actually, let me go into the NIV. It says, Yahuwah detests all the proud of heart, but be sure of this, they will not go unpunished. So he detests these things. Okay, family? Yahuwah detests these things. What does it mean to detest something? Yahuwah, in other words, is a strong passion dislikes people that are operating under this ruach. He dislikes it. And he says that they will not go unpunished. So although they may seem mighty and have this big, prideful, superior attitude, they are going to be punished for their actions. And this is why it's an abomination, because he doesn't desire to punish you, but he has to do what he has to do in order to refine his people. So even though he loves you, yeah, if you're operating like this, expect to reap what you sow. You have to be punished for what you're doing, because this is something that hurts the community. It hurts people, because you can't be prideful just for yourself. 9 times out of 10 people that are operating under a spirit of pride are looking to be exalted. They are looking for attention. They are looking to be idolized. They're looking to be honored. All these things that it may sound good to a carnal mind, to a simple mind. But when you think about it, it's everything that Yahuwah said we should not do. All glory and all praise goes to Yahuwah in the name of his son, Yahusha HaMashiach. So when we are looking for that esteem, that's self-seeking. When Yahuwah wants you to be honored or esteemed for something, he will do that. He will do that. He will give you your flowers. He will give you your crown. He will esteem you. He will raise you up. Right before your very enemies in the presence, he will anoint your head with oil. Your cup will run over if that is his will. But we are not to do that because we are looking for man's approval and we want to have this type of image. No, we are to be made humble always. All right. So that's what sheep do. Sheep are humble and they follow their shepherd. Whereas there's a lot of people that they're not following anyone because they don't want to. They want to do their own thing. And a lot of our people, we do that, whether you're in the truth or in the world, and it has to stop. All right. We have to be able to be disciplined. We have to be humble people that can take instruction, criticism, admonishment, and we have to stop thinking that we are always right. We have to learn to listen and to offer feedback that is righteous or that is pure. You know, there are times we need to not be quiet and we need to speak the truth, because some people can have false opinions and false, doctrines and false all types of things. So a proper and effective communication between two people, it needs to have a give and a take, but it shouldn't be done in a prideful way. It shouldn't be arrogant. It shouldn't be like where you're making people feel like they're not wise or they're not intelligent, things like that. So all of those things, those are what arrogant and, people do. I've been on some channels where they literally said, are you STUPID? Like, I'm not going to keep saying this. Y'all going to have to, and it's like that spirit is like, even though it can be frustrating when dealing with different minds and their intellectual levels, we have to put on patience. We have to use the fruit of patience if you have it, in self-control. We should never hurt people. There are elders that are waking up to the truth that clearly are going to be a lot different than a younger mind, if you know what I mean. So we have to be able to be gentle and kind to all different levels of people. Even with my children, I teach them the same Bible verses I read, but I don't expect them to learn something so fast because they're children. And so it's important when you do look up definitions and you use your hands, your gestures to teach and to not be so prideful. You don't want to lead people astray or make them not love the word or the law. You understand what I'm saying, people? So put the pride away. Whether you are a teacher, a pastor, a messenger, if you operate under pride for anything, it can be for your business, for your, your talents, your gifts. If you have pride behind that, Yahuwah will dismantle you and whatever things you're doing very quickly, because that is not something that he wants you to operate under. He wants you to give him full esteem, and he wants you to be humble and loving to all your brethren. If you're mixing lies in and slandering here and gossiping here and doing this stuff, He doesn't like that, family, and he sees it. And so he calls it an abomination that will not go unpunished. And so we're really like being our own worst enemy when we decide to wear these things as sheep instead of putting them off and throwing them in the garbage, releasing these things from us. There is nothing wrong with, no matter how old you are, to do something you never did before, right? We're never too old to grow and to learn a new way of being, a way that pleases the Most High Yahuwah. Okay, so we all have to do this. We all have to just constantly examine ourselves and to say, you know what? Do I operate under pride? Do I do this? You have to ask yourself that. And even though sometimes you won't get the answer from yourself because people have this ego thing where, sometimes if you're ready for it, be prepared to hear whatever the answer is, but maybe ask someone you're really close to that will respect you and give you a response that wouldn't make you angry, but rather would still be truthful, and ask them, do I do this? Or, how is it if I did this? Or have I ever done this to you? And wait for them to give you feedback. Now, you have to be careful who you ask, because some people, they will tickle your ear and tell you, no, you don't do that. You're so nice. But meanwhile, they're holding on to something that you may have done to them. So we have to just be led by the Ruach HaKodesh if he wants you to ask, or maybe if he just wants you to self-exam, right? Because there's no one that should know you but you and Yahuwah. And people might think they know you because of what they see you do or how you talk and stuff, but no one truly knows you. Only you know you. You know what it's like to be in your body. You know what it's like to wake up in the morning and have your thoughts, and to, go to sleep before bed, and how your thoughts are. You know what you deal with your family. You know what you deal with at work. And so we can't truly say we know each other, right? Because we don't, So we have to make sure we are able to examine ourselves and be comfortable with just putting off some of these things, even if it is hard to put off. What is humility, family? So this was going to be more of an educational one because we have to look up these definitions. Okay, humility. The definition of humility is a modest or a low view of one's own importance. So it doesn't matter how important your mommy, your daddy, your sister, your parents, your husband, how important your children tell you are. Yeah, you're important. But when you are doing work, when you are on your assignments, forget about your importance. And keep in mind that you are made low to bless others and to glorify Yahuwah. So you're lowering yourself to allow him to remain the head so that you are able to give him esteem and to be his light. So when we are under this humility, we are also acknowledging and accepting that we are imperfect and that we have transgressed. And when we do that, and when we do it outwardly and publicly, when we admit that, yeah, this is a mistake, not only is that a testimony you're sharing, but you're being a relatable person. People can relate to people that are relatable, right? And that is how we build strong and healthy relationships. That is how we build a good rapport with people. When we are able to say, yeah, I've been through that too. And yeah, I made this mistake. We have to be able to do that because, especially in 2025, there's a lot of people that they have one face somewhere and then there's a whole nother face somewhere else. And people don't see, that other side that's really toxic and abusive. They just see the one side, right? That one side. And there's this saying people say, the people that lie, they're the loudest, but the ones that tell the truth are quieter, right? The more quiet people, because the truth speaks for itself. So family, your discernment is so much needed now these days, especially as like the politicians start doing what they do and we start seeing how maybe prophecies start coming to pass. We don't want to be quick to be like, yeah, this is the Messiah. We can't do that, family, right? We have to use our discernment and we have to follow the Ruach HaKodesh. Don't lean on your own understanding when it comes to anything, but always be humble and show humility. Because when you show humility, you have wisdom and understanding. When you show humility, You have modesty and you're selfless. You know your place. You stay in your lane. Okay, family? When you have grace, we said that is a refinement. It is being able to remove the unwanted aspects of you, of your character, your traits, whatever get inherited from your mother. You know, some people say, oh, you act just like your mother and stuff. Maybe you don't want to have that characteristic that you have with your parents or with someone else in your family. So now's the time to allow that refiner's fire to burn and incinerate the parts that should not be there. And when I say burn, it's going to burn, family, because it is not easy to face yourself and to be accountable for what you've done in the past and be accountable for what you might be doing even to this very minute. And so we have to be willing and to get down on our knees and be low to Yahuwah, humble. Praising him at his feet at the throne. At his feet, and pleading with him to help us to put these things off. And he will help you. I don't know how fast he'll help you. I don't know if he'll want to test you first or not, but he knows what is hurting you. He knows what it is your heart desires, and he knows what it is that you need to keep enduring so that you can grow. So we have to trust him that in the right divine time, Yahuwah is going to allow me to grow how I'm supposed to grow. I'm going to have the right soil, the right temperature, the right light, the right location, the right people around me, and I will grow and I will bear fruit and will bless those around me. And family, that is all I have today. It is a very short but powerful video, again, and a reminder to put off pride and put on humility. I will see you all for day 7 tomorrow. Hallelujah. Thank you for joining. I'll see you soon. Shalom.